7 p.m. on a Thursday night, which is not a normal night for the Thunderstrikers, but we are live Thursday night. Thunderstrikers from the Safety Harbor Studios. Why are we live tonight? Because we have a special night. We have special guests coming on tonight from Bay Bolts. We have a commentator coming on from the NFL. It's going to be a great night. So let's get started. Joe, I want to bring these guys right on. How about that?
Oh, that sounds good to me. Go ahead.
Outstanding. Bringing on Michael Wax and Jake Ricker.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Hey, guys. How
you doing?
Doing good.
Good. How are you?
Outstanding.
Yeah, we're good.
Welcome to Thunderstrikers on a special night. Obviously, we know why we're here because the Bolts just did a phenomenal job on Thursday. We're going to talk about that tonight. Talk a little bit about the Bay Bolts and how they're integrated in YouTube and Twitter. I'm going to throw that right down in there right now, in fact. So, guys, how are you guys doing tonight?
Doing great. I'm really excited with the Bolts, how they've been playing recently. I know we'll get into that game, but I'm just glad hockey's been back now recently after being out with it for so long. So I'm excited for these next couple of rounds here. The lighting look good.
Yeah, outstanding.
Yeah.
So we're going to jump right into it, guys. If you're up for it, we're going to jump right into this game, talk about why we are so happy with our Lightning tonight.
On a day that's been an emotional roller coaster ride.
Yeah, we'll get into that too, unfortunately.
We can never have just good news. There's always got to be
it can't
something
just be good news.
Just,
So obviously, right off the bat, we can see that the game last night, the Bolts had a goal. Mm-hmm. We'll give it to them. They got a goal, and we had not one, not two. Mm-hmm. We had 7 goals, guys. I'll tell you right now. We had 7 goals. I don't know if you could hear it from Safety Harbor, but this house was rocking. My wife and I were going bananas, throwing things at the screen. Score, goal, scaring the dogs. The one dog was hiding in the bathroom. One dog was hiding in the closet because I was just going bananas. What a great, great game. Were you guys watching it last night?
Oh, absolutely. This was fantastic. You talk about keeping your foot on the gas. That's what they did all game. They did not let up, which was really nice to see, because a lot of people expect this one to go 7 games. So this is supposed to be a long, grueling series, and for the Lightning to come out and really dominate that game and show everybody, hey, we're not messing around this year. This is a different team. So it was really good to see them really keep their foot on the gas in that game.
Very, very much so. Mike, what do you got?
Yeah, they were fantastic last night. And I think a lot of people stepped up, people that had stepped up in the Columbus series, people that stepped up earlier in the series, and people that hadn't really had their groove going in the playoffs at all. And I think we saw a complete team effort. And I was really surprised with some of the people's contributions. As we had on our Bay Bolt show last night, I got made fun of a little bit because of some of the players that I criticized in previous games. They came to play. So, again, really happy with the full team effort. I hope they don't take their foot off the gas up 2-1. But, again, I was so happy last night with how they played.
Oh, yeah. It's also amazing. Not only did, they play hard and they met the Bruins with shot for shot, way exceeded that, hit for hit. But they got smart. They didn't fall into the Bruins' trap of getting penalties. They had, one penalty?
One penalty.
The entire game. Guys, that's almost a miracle for the Bolts lately, especially against the Bruins.
Yeah.
Because these guys are good at getting tripped up, falling down, and the Academy Award goes to, ow, my ankle kind of thing,
Yeah.
And we didn't have those bad calls. I watched your show, guys. I always watch your show. I love your show.
Yes, we do.
And you guys had brought up Eric Furlat, and trust me, I don't know which one I hate more, Furlat or Tim Peel. And you guys know about Tim Peel also.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was huge for the Bolts. Throughout this whole series, they were taking just stupid penalties, and they weren't even, I know the refs have not been great, but mostly when the Bolts have been taking some of these penalties, they were penalties, penalties that should have been called, and they were just boneheaded plays. But then they tonight they didn't do that, and that shows what happens when you don't take those silly penalties, and the Lightning can take advantage of it. And they can play well. They don't get bogged down and on the penalty kill and don't have to constantly kill things off. They can be in the offensive zone and control the game more, which also gets them more power.
I attribute to this guy on the screen right here. This guy, people can say what they want. Oh, Cooper is, he's got all that talent, nothing to show for it. No, this guy takes the talent, directs them the right way, says, guys, we need to stop getting these penalties. We need to play smarter. We need to crowd that net. Oh, my God. How many times? And it killed me last night because the one goal, of course, was Brad Marchand.
What is he doing in front of the net all alone?
Standing there, almost like a statue. And I'm like, get him. Oh, jeez. 2 nights in a row.
And then they zoomed out his
Cooper said, done.
Yeah, I mean, just because your penalty kill is good doesn't mean that you want to be on the penalty kill all the time. Yeah. So I think the Lightning had done a really good job with that. The penalty killers that were on in that penalty kill weirdly were their second unit for some reason against the Bruins' top power play unit. So I was confused by that. I think that might have had a little bit to do with why Brad Marchand scored. But, it's great to see the fact that the referees were a little bit more consistent when it came to catching the Bruins shenanigans. And when I see people like Charlie McAvoy take a run at Nikita Kucherov, or again, Jake, I apologize. Last night I talked about someone that dropped their gloves with Zarelli who wouldn't go. That those are the types of plays that the Bruins try to get you into. They try to really get you into their game, and I thought the Lightning did an awesome job by just not responding. And if you're Patrick Maroon or Nikita Kucherov, just laughing at all.
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah, and this is what they do. This is their strategy. When they're a couple of goals down, they start to cause problems and try to cause fights.
And I find it amazing that, and we unfortunately have fallen into this trap so many times before with the Bruins. I mean, they're almost our Achilles heel when it comes to these penalties and getting tripped up on stupid things. We didn't fall for it this time. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where the Bruins went, uh-oh, and we just started to trounce on them. I mean, the paper even today says we beat the crap out of the Bruins. That's just fantastic.
That's just a nice way of saying it.
Yeah.
And can also, while we're talking about John Cooper, I think he deserves a shout out too. The power play has struggled so much throughout this entire playoffs. And Cooper's been changing up the lines a couple of times. I know some people were really upset with some of the moves he made, but I think credit goes to him again because he finally made a couple of moves. It took him a little while, but that power play clicked last night. And that was the one thing, the one major thing that was holding the Bolts back was they could not get that power play going. I think a large part of that due to because Stamkos is still out, but they got it going last night, which was huge for them. Now, hopefully they can continue it. That'll be another story to see if they can do it again. But a good job by Cooper finally figuring out what works when Stamkos is not in.
If there's ever a coach that's on the firing line from most of the people that I talk to, is Halpern. They want his head served on a platter, and Cooper too. Fire Cooper. Cooper's an epic fail. No, the guy is an amazing coach, and just because you don't see him blow up, in front of the camera in that locker room, that's a different story there, Jeff.
Yeah. It's interesting that Cooper got emotional after the first game, and in the second game too. He's finally starting to show his emotions on the ice, which I think is a good thing because it's scaring some of the other coaches who just think that Cooper's a patsy.
Yeah,
and he's not. We went 0 for 16, like you said. We went 0 for 16 on power plays in this series so far, or in the playoffs, in fact. And now we're 3 for 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree. This is something, and not only is it great for points to get in there, but it's great for our mental game. We just like Andre Palat did earlier or Yanni Gord did earlier in the season, could not get a goal. And then he finally gets one, and then he's on fire again. It's such a mental game behind everything that this was something we needed to push ourselves forward. So this game did so much for so many different things. Very, very pleased.
Yeah, and Andre Palat started it all off with that first goal at 12:48.
Amazing. Let me bring up Andre because Andre is awesome. We love Andre.
Second goal on a power play, and that got us going, man.
Yeah. Let me see,
Yeah,
what,
also,
let me see what Palat we got here. There's
Palat.
our boy.
I
Andre,
love
I'll
Palat.
tell you what,
Palat's a great
and
player.
this is, guys, as you know, this is what separates the Lightning from the rest of the NHL. Yeah, they've got their perfection line for the Bruins. We have so many different depths in line here.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Palat. We've got the Gord line. We've got, Tyler Johnson steps in when he needs to.
Mm-hmm.
You're good.
Tyler Johnson's been a huge playoff performer. He does so good in the playoffs. And you're absolutely right, though, because, guys like, let's take Johnson, for example, who a lot of people have talked about could be on the move after this year. People consider him potentially playing as a first line, second line for most teams. But on the Lightning, he ends up as a third line more often than not. I mean, he plays every which way, with Cooper changing up lines all the time. But you're right. The Lightning have such good depth, and it shows. It really shows when they come out here. And like that third line, I think it was with Gaudreau and Coleman. I can't remember the third one. I think it was Gord. I mean, they played so well these past couple of games, and it really shows.
Yeah,
they've been awesome. But you talked about Palat. Like, does it help that he's playing with Point and Kucherov? Absolutely, two of the top 15 players in the world. But Palat's been one of my favorites for a really, really long time. It was surprising to see him break out that one-timer. The last time I can remember him taking a one-timer was in the Eastern Conference Finals in 2015. Yeah. So that should tell you how long he has waited to break that shot out. But it goes back to, put players in key situations. John Cooper does it really, really well, and Halpern does it really, really well.
Yep.
Give them situations to succeed, and they will reward you. And Palat has been a really underrated player for a really long time, probably because he's been injured so often. But, healthy season, he looked like one of the best players on the Lightning this year. And it's contributing in these playoffs. That overtime goal was probably even more impressive than the power play goal.
Yeah. I was hoping for Point, to be honest with you, but I was happy to see Palat.
We're big on Braden Point fans here.
I'm a big Braden Point guy. Richard Mendoza chimes in and says, not Coop, this was all Jeff Halpern. And you know what, Richard?
He's a hater.
Well, no, I have
he loves Halpern. He loves Halpern. He does a lot there, too.
And this, like we said, this even follows further on the depth of the Bulls. We don't just have good coach and everyone else kind of follows along. We have a lot of depth, not only in our team, but our coaching staff. And it really, really helps out.
I'm going to bring up a sensitive subject, guys, because like I said, I watch your show all the time, and I know you guys have been on this guy, but I got to bring him up. Alex Killorn. I know how much you love Alex Killorn, guys.
I love Alex Killorn.
You guys got him all gone. He's gone after the season. That big contract's gone. It's gone.
I make two statements about Alex Killorn. It's going to haunt me for the rest of my broadcasting career.
Listen, at the end of the day, Killorn was struggling. I mean, he had a couple of points before game 2 against Boston, but he was struggling. And my big issue with Killorn was the penalties. I mean, they were just stupid penalties, and it kept putting the Bolts in terrible situations. And when you're in the playoffs, especially deeper and deeper into the playoffs, you can't do that because those mistakes are going to cost you. And they did cost the Bolts a couple of times. And when that continues for so many games, I'm going to sit there and say, something needs to change. Now, I'm very excited that he turned it on in game 2. He played an amazing game. It's probably his best game of the playoffs. So I hope it continues. That's what we do as broadcasters. We like to call people out and then they end up turning it on because that's just how it works. But I'm glad that he did. So I hope it continues. But he was struggling for a while.
You guys were all over it, man. I was sitting there. I was like, wow, these guys are on it.
Well, and Killer, again, I love this depth word tonight. It seems to be the word of the day. Mm-hmm. If you're playing a drinking game out there, every time I say depth, don't do it. You're going to get hammered, I think. But again, this guy, he's representative in the Players Union. He's doing doc talk. He's doing social media stuff. He's connecting with his fans during the off time. He's keeping Lightning fans excited about the game and excited about hockey during the pandemic when we were all just kind of depressed. And I think he's a great addition to this team. I'm going to be really sorry if and when he goes. And he, unfortunately, probably will be going, you know?
Yeah.
I think he's done.
I don't really want to talk about like where he's going because he is the only one of those $5 million plus guys that has that full no trade clause, goes into a modified no trade clause this offseason. But, you know, the reason that we got so frustrated with Killorn was another reason that I got so frustrated with Kucherov is we know what kind of potential he could bring to the table, and he's just not doing it. And with Kucherov, it was more like he's just not putting up points. With Killorn, it was he is detrimenting the team by taking penalties while being one of the team's best penalty killers. So he is basically becoming a net negative on the penalty kill or when he takes penalties. That was my biggest problem with Killorn. And you know what? If he proves me wrong for the rest of the playoffs, doesn't take a single penalty, I'm happy to eat my words because I want these guys to succeed. But it was really obvious in the Columbus series, not so much in the round robin, but he was having a really tough time in the Columbus series and in the first 2 games of the Boston series of just, you know, staying out of the box. And when he was on the ice, maintaining possession in the offensive zone.
Yeah, and that's the problem we're having with Killer is that I'm not sure if he's wanting to try to keep proving himself, if he's trying to lead his guys into being more rough and tough and making mistakes with it, or if he thinks he can get things over on these refs. And we have to remember, these refs are anti-Lightning. I mean, 2 minutes for being a Lightning player.
It does feel like
that's actually going to be a new rule
That's
next year.
Tim Peel
Yeah, there's a new rule next year coming out. If you're a Lightning player, you get an automatic 2 minutes.
and Eric Furlat.
Wonderful.
Exactly. Hey, Joel has a question. He says, with tomorrow's game being postponed, are they playing games 4 on Saturday or Sunday? Well, Joel, honestly, we don't know. We've all been searching for this.
There's going to be games Saturday and Sunday.
We figure it's going to be Sunday. I think they're just going to shift everything one day over. But until they have an answer on this, we just don't know. And
that would make the most sense, them playing on Sunday, since they were obviously not supposed to play today, but tomorrow.
We already got the time set for Sunday. I reported that at 8 o'clock. So that game is still going to be on.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Braden Point.
Oh, let's talk about Braden Point. You know, I could. That's my boy. We've all known it. Braden, you know, we've talked about this before. He is just someone who just he came in late to the year. We've talked about that. It was a contract issue, and then it was a surgery issue, and then he was real quiet, and all of a sudden, here he comes out of nowhere. You know, he's silent after the regular season. Where's Braden? Who's Braden? Do we know Braden? And then this kid is just on fire. Poof.
Yeah,
Come on, guys. 6 goals, 9 assists,
Yeah.
15 points. He's just unbelievable. What do you guys think?
Yeah, Braden Point is obviously one of our up-and-coming stars. This guy's been amazing. I don't know what they did to him in that knee surgery, if they gave him like some kind of extra boost or something, but he's been flying ever since he came back from that knee surgery. And what I think is so amazing about Point, too, is his ability on the breakaway. When he's all alone, he just has such a good move to get those goaltenders to bite. And he's got an open net almost every time he goes on a breakaway. Every time I see that, I'm like, oh, Lightning goal, put it on the board now. I mean, he's so good and so fast. And also his ability to, you know, control the puck, I think is really good. We saw it in game 3 against Boston. He fought off, 3 Boston players and got that puck to one of our guys and ended up scoring on that play. I believe it was Kucherov's goal that where they ended up scoring. Yeah, you got it to Shattenkirk, I think. But he just does such a good job with controlling the puck.
Yes.
Yeah, I do.
Are you a Shattenkirk fan, by the way?
I'm a fan of all these guys.
Yeah, of course.
I think Shattenkirk's a great player too. You know, him bringing over his leadership too, I think has been really good for the Lightning as well.
Yep. I'm actually hoping that he sticks around. I know he's on his 1-year contract, but he's not getting a lot of money. It's not going to really hurt the salary cap. And for somebody to come in, and I'm actually one of the only few people that actually owns a Shattenkirk jersey because you have to have it made, and all this stuff. And I did because I believe in this guy. He has come in, taken, like you said, a leadership role, and he's the kind of guy that from the blue line, he gets that puck to the net. Sometimes it goes in, sometimes it doesn't, but when it doesn't, at least it gets it down to the paint, and these guys are now ready to get it in the net from there. Love that.
Yeah. I really like Shattenkirk, and just to make a little bit of a change, Jake, he had a hip surgery, not a knee surgery.
Yeah, it was the hip.
In the offseason. I think the reason that we're seeing a different point in the postseason is because he had 5 months to recuperate from that hip surgery. It's the same reason we're seeing a different Zach Bogosian, because Bogosian never recovered from his hip surgery in the offseason. So, Point has been that premier player for, I would say, the last 2-3 years, probably. It's interesting whenever he would have like shootout goals, and I know this is different from breakaway goals, but he would go directly under the glove or the blocker of the goalie. Now, because that's been figured out, he's going on the glove side of the goalie, and he's beating them every time. So he's a really smart player, and just transitioning over to Shattenkirk, I do think that the Lightning might look at bringing him back, and I think they might actually get him for cheaper, because I know we're not supposed to talk about the offseason, but he is next year going to get paid $6 million from the New York Rangers because of that buyout. So why not try to sign him to a league minimum contract and say, hey, they're already giving you $6 million. Why not try to get him for the lowest amount possible?
We don't care who pays him because I love it. I'm right with you.
Exactly.
But I like Pat Maroon too. I mean, Pat Maroon is the only guy that has won a cup on the whole team, and he's leadership.
Yeah. You guys know how finicky we are as Lightning fans. We want to see the same people, nobody leave, nobody new.
Unfortunately.
But these new guys, I mean, good God. Goodrow, Bogosian.
I love Steffens.
Mitchell. Incredible. Just these guys have come in the first year and have just shown what it is like to be a Lightning player. Just a fantastic. By the way, Valerie, I know with you, I cannot believe the game is canceled, but I also cannot believe you've got a picture of the Yankees as your profile picture, because last time I checked, and I'll be real quick, they are in second place.
You better be real quick.
2.5 games back, but I won't say anything more.
Okay, I'm going to change the subject here. I'm going to definitely change the subject here. Mr. Halleck gave up 4 goals, and it was 4-1. And Cassidy said, okay, well, I'm going to take my goalie out, and I'm going to put this 23-year-old, 6'5" Dan Vladar, who's 23 years old. He's really tall. I'm like, oh, my God, this kid's got to be nervous. They're throwing him right into the fire.
Yeah.
So Cassidy's thinking, all right, well, our guys will definitely play for him, and we're going to keep this close and everything. They didn't play for him.
No, I know. By the way, let me bring in another guy. This guy is Bob Emanuel Jr., good friend of mine. He is a analyst. Hey, he's an analyst. When you have a home studio, unfortunately, you have home dogs, and they do that. For the NHL or the NFL, excuse me, he was exclusively for the Dolphins for a long time, and now he's with pretty much all the NHL sports in the Florida area and NFL. So, Bob Emanuel Jr., welcome aboard tonight.
Thanks for having me, guys. Is the microphone loud enough?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you guys hear him all right?
Yep, we can hear him.
Yep. Okay.
Here we go. All right, outstanding. So, Bob, we've been talking about this game last night, of course. This is probably how the whole game's going to go because it's just a fantastic thing to talk about. And we've been talking about how these guys have really come through. And what was the last thing we were jumping on? We have so much to talk about with this game. I'm still kind of in shock, guys. I'm literally in shock from this game. It was incredible.
Yeah. Well, one thing I caught as I
really
was
was
waiting to come on, you were talking about a guy that's going to get cut that's making $6 million with New York. That happens a lot of times in NFL and other sports. You see a guy like Earl Thomas, for instance. Right now, he got cut from the Baltimore Ravens. He's due $10 million guaranteed. There's speculation other teams will sign him. Why? If he's going to get $10 million from them, they get an offset. So you give him minimum wage, he comes into you, and the other team pays the fare. So if the Lightning can pull that off next year, More power to him.
And that's the great thing about this salary cap. We have players in place, and I don't know if these guys did it on purpose, knowing this was going to happen, but we have players in place that are eligible to get minimum and are getting money from other teams. And hey, if the Rangers want to pay for a great guy like Bertozzi, we'll take it all day long. Thank you very much. It's almost like sending us a Christmas card, millions of dollars in it, and say, here.
The only problem is I got a little tired of everybody calling us the Tampa Rangers.
Yeah. But you know what? And this is one of the things I love about the Lightning as a team. They brought in Shattenkirk, who was basically kicked to the curb by the Rangers.
Oh, yeah.
Told he was worthless, told he wasn't anything, even to a guy whose family lives there. They were Rangers fans all their lives. He was so excited to play for the Rangers, and for the Rangers to dump on him so bad. So he comes to the Lightning. We bring him in with open arms, give him a quasi-leadership role, and let him do what he does, and the kid is on fire. Great job. And I don't even have a Shattenkirk picture today, unfortunately. Normally I do, because I love the guy.
Hey,
That's
listen,
surprising.
If the Rangers want to keep giving us these great players, you know what? Call us Tampa Bay Rangers. I don't care. I love taking all these guys from them. So, and hey, the Rangers just got who was it, Lafreniere? So maybe future Bolt, maybe.
Yeah, a couple of years.
We want their cast-offs that are going to be incredibly playing for us. I'll take them.
We don't want the bread man though.
I don't want pasta. I don't want
anything to put him on that roster.
Well, can you believe that guy is such a sellout for Dunkin' Donuts? I mean, I really think if there were crowds there, they would be throwing cups of coffee at him constantly. What a genius.
Hey, did we bring up Vasi yet?
Oh, did we bring up Vasi yet? Let me tell you something. What can you say that hasn't been said about our boy Vasilevsky?
Oh.
My goodness.
8-3.
8-3. Look at that. Look at the look in his eyes. He knows he's the best goalie around.
2.06 and save percentage is .924. Amazing. This guy is just getting better and better. He's my pick for the Vezina. He's been my pick the last 2 years. This is the third year that I think he deserves the Vezina. Pekka Rinne won it that first year.
Yeah.
So I'm still butthurt over that Rinne won that. But Vasi, to me, is the best goalie in the NHL.
Yes. So, guys, and I want everyone's opinion on this. Do you think between the second and third period, this goalie had to go in and change his drawers?
Dan Vladar.
Because, my goodness, in your first NHL appearance of all time, and you're in the playoffs.
Throw him to the jungle.
And it's 4-1. And your team looks like crap, and they're not doing anything for their goalie. What the heck were they thinking? I mean, good gracious.
I told you what they were thinking.
Point on a breakaway. Hey, Braden, welcome to the NHL. Wunk.
Made it look easy.
God.
It wasn't even fair.
No. It's just
he probably definitely had to do something like that in that intermission. He got thrown to the wolves. I almost felt bad for him, but then I remembered he was wearing a Boston Bruins jersey, so I really didn't feel bad anymore. But I think they did it because they knew they were getting killed. They had no chance in this game, so they thought, let's take Halak out, maybe give him a chance to rest and kind of get his mind back or something. I don't know, but it's also, a lot of times goalie changes can often spark a team. It obviously didn't work for the Bruins this time, but I do feel a little bit bad for the kid because he got thrown to the wolves, and the Bruins had basically given up at that point, so there was just no chance for him.
Yeah, it's really sad, and it is sad for him because his confidence is now shot. They can say whatever they want to this kid, but his confidence is in the toilet. So who knows? And we talked about this when Tuukka decided not to play for whatever reason. We still don't know.
His
and I really don't care. His family, whatever. I'm sorry. Deployed soldier. Couldn't do it when my family had issues, but what the heck, right? So when he left, that brings down to 2. And we talked about this. They got one good goalie and they got one kid.
Yeah.
What happens if this good goalie goes down for good? They're just done. Fortunately, hopefully they'll be done in 3 games and we'll be done with the whole thing. But you never know. It's just crazy.
I mean, you look at Vladar when he came into the game. He's 6'5". I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like he's actually on skates. He's almost as tall as Chara. And I equate the Lightning with rookie goaltenders with the Buccaneers and backup quarterbacks. I feel like they will always lose. And so I got actually kind of scared because I know it was 4-1, but I was like, this is going to turn out very badly because the rookie Vladar had really good stats in the minors. And I know the minors isn't the same as the majors, but he looks like he's going to be a player. And then I realized that, Andrei Vasilevsky's been our starting goalie for the last 4 years and has been on the team since he was 20, which is 3 years younger than Vladar is right now. Yeah. So I was like, you know what, we're fine in that. We've got a good goalie. I don't think we're going to blow this game. And he's got a good head on his shoulders. Even if they want to start Vladar in game 4, which I don't think would be a smart decision. And there's only so much a kid can do. I look back to the 2015 Stanley Cup Finals, the 2016 Eastern Conference Finals. Andrei Vasilevsky played out of his mind. The Lightning didn't show up. And there's only so much you can do when you are, even if you are more skilled and younger and more agile. I just feel, again, I don't want to say I feel bad for him because he is a Boston Bruin. Yeah. But I just look at him and I go, man, if you were on any other team, I would be just like, somebody save this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, my wife and I were talking about this last night, how awesome it must be to be Curtis McElhaney. Mm-hmm. Because these goalies are literally sitting there enjoying life, watching the game with front row seats, making $700,000 plus a year to be there in case. And with Vasi in the net, we don't need McElhaney right now. But then again, you think about this poor kid who's sitting there with front row seats to NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, loving life, making a good chunk of money until they go, "Hey, you're up." He's like, "What? Me?" Now he's shitting bricks. Oh, excuse me, crapping bricks.
We don't got no FCC.
Well, this is kind of a family show, so I'm sorry about that. But and all of a sudden, it's like I don't even think he expected it. But he's standing there, and you can tell he was visibly shook up, standing there waiting to be called out on the ice, going, "I don't think I want this to happen. Ain't no enough money in this right now to play this game." And poof, he gets put in, and poof, he gets shut down. Because he got no help. I mean, no help from his D line. It was just horrible.
Yeah, another way to look at it too. Bring in the 6'5" guy. Let's call him Lurch. Just a little nod to the Adams family. But he comes in first game, nerves are shot. Now, if he plays again, he probably sits there and thinks, "Hey, you know what? It can't get any worse than the other night." So in a way,
I guess
it might actually benefit him because you already saw all hell break loose. So now maybe you go in there with a little bit of confidence, say, "Hey, I already faced the worst, and I only have to get better from here. You can't really get much worse than that." So
yeah, I'm sure he's going to do great next season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we're going to knock him out before he even gets another chance to play. That's for sure.
I have a strong feeling that's going to happen. I mean, we are on a roll. We're on fire. Barring, we may lose one more. Who knows? But barring anything really crazy, we have shown that we are a Stanley Cup potential team this year.
Come out and do it.
We really didn't a couple games ago. I honestly, after the first game with Boston, I honestly did not think we would do this. And
keep in mind, you just said that, and we still don't even have Steven Stamkos back yet. We're doing this without Stam, and hopefully he'll be able to be back. I don't know because they're being so silent on the situation. But
no Ryan McDonough.
Yeah, and no McDonough.
And John Ruda.
Yeah, and
Jan Ruda.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're down some
out indefinitely. That's all Cooper says is, guys, nothing's changed. They're out indefinitely. So why do they keep on bugging me about the statuses when the statuses haven't changed on any of them? Stamkos is still out indefinitely. Ruda is still out indefinitely, and it is what it is. Ryan McDonough, we don't know the extent of the injury, but he's looking like he's going to be out this series the way it's going.
Yeah, somebody actually brought up a point about Stamkos it's terrible we've lost Stamkos and this and that, but take a look at the things that have happened when we don't have Stamkos. they're not able to focus on the Cooch Stamkos passing. Cooch has been moved to the other side, and they don't even know how to handle that. And now they can't focus their efforts on our 2-star hitters, plus point.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's a free-for-all who's going to be charging that goal. It's a free-for-all who's going to get past them and go in. They don't know who to look for. And I'm not really sad to see Stamkos out. I mean, yeah, I feel bad for him. Yeah, I'd like to see him playing. But I don't think with the drink time depth that we have that we're really hurting so bad without it.
No, we're definitely not. And all these guys are being able to step up, and they're really helping out. But obviously, if Stamkos is ready to come back, I hope they can bring him back soon. Although with the depth that we have, it's okay. It's nice to be able to leave him out. So if he's still 95% right now, some teams might say, well, we gotta bring him back in because we're struggling right now. We're still playing well, so we can wait until he gets 110% and then bring him back in, which is really nice for us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But now some of the questions we have is, we all know it. Nobody wants to say it. Nobody wants to hear it. But Killorn is history. We know it. Who are we going to be looking at captains this year? I think Braden Point is one of them that we should be looking at.
Yeah, a lot of that depends on, I don't know what goes on inside the locker room and all that and the leadership behind closed doors because we don't get to see that. But yeah, Braden Point's definitely a top guy. Any of those guys who are top performers and scoring points, scoring goals, those star players are going to be the ones you look at first. But a lot of that I think depends on what goes on behind closed doors and who's being that leader, who's standing up for that team and saying, listen, even though we're down right now or we just got scored on and we need to respond to this, those are the guys I look for. And it's hard to tell as someone who's just watching from the TV, but those are the guys that I think are the ones that will get that chance.
Yeah, very true. I mean, it's not a popularity contest. We know that.
Right.
But I always wonder if it should be, because who's performing on the ice? Who is the people that we're looking for with the A and the C on their chests? And I don't know. The kid's young. He's got a lot of time. And I hope it's all with the Lightning at this point because I'd hate to lose him. But he just seems with his skill and his play to be a real leader on the ice. Who knows behind closed doors,
I don't know. Right now, I'm thinking about the job that JBB has done, bringing in 6 different Bolts players, and they're all responding, and they're all doing good for us. And it's just amazing how good of a general manager JBB has done with these pickups and how much they've contributed to the Bolts and their play.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, we haven't even gotten to the second period, have we?
I don't think so. There's so much good to talk about. It's so hard.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, there's always bad, of course, like the people that are injured and things like that. And what led us to this, we didn't take a commanding presence game one by any means. It was basically up until the end of the third period, I was going to say it, a bad show on the Lightning because these guys, we were just shocked. How do you score 2 goals in the last 3 minutes, but you can't win this game? What was going on in the heads? Were they psyched out by the Bruins? I thought we'd come off a win. Our last game with them was very aggressive. We won handsomely in the season, but it seemed like that they just had our number. And the Bruins fans were going bananas about that.
They were talking a lot of smack in Boston too.
We own the Lightning. They can't do anything against us. And then all of a sudden we wake up and here we are. It was almost like a stepping stone. We won in overtime. Again, another close game, which I hate overtime games. But, except that 5 overtime game, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, God.
And then yesterday was just a handsome shellacking, for lack of a better term. Who knows what's going to happen in the next one? These guys are not as consistent as I'm hoping they would be. And we talked about this back in November about how inconsistent they've been. Let me pull my little dream sequence out because I always love this one. Back in November, when we talked about this and how much they really they couldn't seem to get on one page. They were hot, they were cold, they were hot, they were cold. December came, they just started to heat up and stay hot. the beginning of this series, I mean, Columbus is not a team to scoff at by any means, but to go into 5 overtimes, good gracious. And so you have to wonder at this point, are they going to stay hot? And I really hope they are.
Yeah, I hope so too, obviously, and that's going to be a big test for them. Is can they continue this throughout the whole playoffs? Because that's what you have to do when you're going on, though. And yeah, that 5 overtime game, that was a stressful game, huh? I really thought when we got into the 5th overtime that this one would go the distance and become the longest game in NHL history. That was a very long game, but it also another testament to the Bolts in that they are able to stay hot for so long. I know both teams were getting tired at that point, I'm sure, but they kept with it. They kept fighting. They kept control of that game for majority of it, I thought, and it paid off. They ended up getting that win, which is a huge win, by the way, because imagine having to play 5 overtime periods and lose the game. I mean, that could not be fun.
And that had to eat on Columbus too for the rest of that series, that they had gone so far, played so hard, and lost. That's devastating for any team, especially the Lightning.
And we saw in Game 5, I don't think the series was going to get away from the Lightning, but we saw in Game 5 against Columbus, they got down after the second period. It looked like they were going to dominate after the first. They got down at the second, and they made adjustments. They stepped up. Kevin Shattenkirk and John Cooper made speeches, which is really weird to say because you don't think of Cooper as that guy, but he became that guy. He made adjustments. And they came out in the third, played extremely well. Then they came to overtime. They played extremely well. So I think the fact that this season, more than any, they are willing to adjust is testament to why they've been so successful. And I think we would have seen this if we were playing in April and May instead of just playing where we are in August right now. We would have seen the same thing. We've done a really good job at making sure that, we're not going to let this game get away from us. And, if we do, let's move on to the next one. We're not going to hang our heads on one particular game.
Yeah, it's funny because you've got a team that, after the Braden Point misstep of not come on, guy, that's a rookie move, not crossing the line like that. And all of a sudden, and I'll put Steven behind us so because he's a great guy. They make this mistake, and for a team that, unlike the Lightning, that would have been devastating. These guys made a couple stupid moves, some stupid penalties, and instead of letting just get the game run away from us, they held on, they held fast, and they won in overtime. And then they learned from it in one game to say, okay, we're not going to take any more penalties. We're not going to fall for your crap. We're not going to, do things that put us in the box. Yeah, we had a couple little 4-on-4s, but hey, that's hockey. We weren't afraid to be aggressive and play like we need to, but at the same time, we're not stupid enough to take bad penalties. Thank God.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Bob, what do you got? You're awful quiet now.
Yeah, man, I'm not the biggest hockey guy in the world. My real specialty is the NFL, but I throw in a little bit every now and then.
Yeah. Well, I got a question for you, Bob. I don't know if you've been watching some of this stuff. I was watching a couple things earlier today about the Bucks. And there's an elephant in the room that I'm sure we'll touch on a little bit here. I don't really want to touch on it too much. Is this stoppage of play? Nobody's happy about that, of course. There's so many things that are really involved in the background, and without getting too political, without getting too upset about it, it's happening. But I noticed the Bucks, they were at the practice field practicing all day. Did they not get the memo to take the day off?
It was a team-by-team decision. A lot of teams decided what they wanted to do. Some teams decided, hey, you know what? Let's practice, kind of get our minds off of it because you're surrounded by it 24/7 if you're watching TV. So to some guys, it's a little bit of relief to go out there, run around, hit each other, have fun. They've been playing this game since they were 5-6 years old. So to a lot of guys, it's an escape. Why talk about it when as soon as I leave here, I'm going to talk about it with my kids, my wife, my friends, this and that. Let me just put it out of my mind and play football for 2 hours. So Some teams just decided that was the best way they can do it. Other teams decided, hey, let's talk about it. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what kind of statement we can make. You can't fault either side for whatever works for each team. That's why there's 32 teams. Coaches kind of handled it that way and said, what do you guys want to do? The Bucks chose, hey, let's practice. Let's go out there. Probably doesn't hurt that you have the 75-year-old Tom Brady running around going, no, we got to practice. He's probably over there yelling and screaming at everybody. But
Bob, what did I tell you about that? Bob, I love you to death, but don't talk about my Brady. Don't you start either, mister.
I
don't start.
I can't stand Tom Brady.
I do. The funniest thing about Tom Brady is the fact that he griped about all the boats going behind his house. And while he was doing it on Howard Stern, I was literally behind his house in a boat looking at his house. And I'm listening to Howard at the same time going, oh, that might be me he's talking about at the time.
See, now you should have called into Howard Stern and said, hey, Howard, I'm behind Tom's house right now.
Yeah, tell Giselle to take down that cover so we can watch her in the pool kind of thing. Good gracious.
See, that's where you messed up.
Make it worth our while at least.
Oh, God. It must be the money. That's why she's with them.
But we're glad to see the Bucks. I mean, we've got a couple other people that are going to be coming on as we do these shows. We got
Crew Life,
Speaking Sports. We got Crew Life, real Buck fans. Guys, are you guys Buck fans too?
Actually, believe it or not, I'm a Packers fan. I don't know if you can see the flag behind me. I do support the Bucks though. I'm from Tampa, so I support all the Tampa teams. But I ended up as a Packers fan, believe it or not.
I'm looking at Joe because we have this baseball team called the Rays in first place, and he refuses to accept that fact. That, hey, we're doing pretty good.
Never won a World Series. 7
pitchers down right now. Okay, we're moving on. So Mike, what about you?
Marlins they lost half a team and they're still in the playoff hunt. So let's not talk about
exactly.
People.
I'm unfortunately a Bucks fan. I have never consciously seen them in the playoffs or in the playoff race, so that's been fun. But yes, I'm a Bucks fan.
Yeah, me too. I'm a season ticket holder. All three sports. Love my home teams, and we talked about this last week. And I'm going to ask you guys the same question, all three of you. Do you have a secondary team in hockey or football that you root for?
Yes, I do. And the reason I say that is, Ben Bishop is why. Is because I was a huge Ben Bishop fan when he was here with the Bolts. I loved the guy to death. So when he moved on, I was really bummed out. I knew fast he was going to be a star for us. But so if the Lightning aren't playing and there is somebody I'm going to pull for, it's going to be the Stars because I love Ben Bishop and he's one of my favorite players in the NHL.
I love it.
Yeah, no, I have to agree. Mike, what about you?
I don't have a team for a specific reason, but I've really grown to be a Colorado Avalanche fan. I was really depressed when they went on their 48-point season a couple years ago, but I started watching them and I'm like, they've got a lot of talent here. Like this could be a really, really good team. And I just started watching their games a lot more. I became a bigger hockey fan as I've gotten older, and I think that has to do with it. I love watching any team except for the Boston Bruins, but
any team from Boston in that matter.
Yeah, I mean, I live in Boston, so I got to keep my tongue in my mouth. But I really like the Avalanche. I don't have a specific reason why, but probably because Nathan McKinnon is probably my favorite non-Bolt. So that I'll give that reason.
Yeah,
this is great because I've got a couple of members that I'm fighting with and arguing with all the time, telling me they're acting like the government. They're saying, well, you can't root for more than one team. That's not right. You can only root for one team and support one team. That's a bunch of crap.
Now I'm sitting next to an Islanders fan.
That's right.
He's
my
from
birth
New
team.
York, and
my birth
team, just like the Buffalo Sabres are my birth team.
Yep.
I'm not in such dire straits right now. I mean, I actually played Pee Wee hockey for the Buffalo Sabres, but I don't have a dog in the fight because they're not here. They're watching TV and hanging out. Now, your Islanders,
and my Bolts,
they might be playing us
very
shortly.
That's right.
So who are you going to root for there, Joe?
I'll tell you what, it's my right to root for both of them, and it's a win-win because I don't lose.
Yeah,
one team wins, and the other team
So he's a Lightning fan through and through, and he will be rooting for the Lightning.
For
Bob, you got two football teams you root for?
Actually, I root for everybody in football. I just love the sport. The Dolphins are my favorite team. I grew up, spent 3.5 decades down in South Florida, so bleed aqua and orange. But I enjoy watching certain guys play, like Patrick Mahomes. There's certain people that you just tune in to watch, and you don't really care who wins or loses. I just enjoy the sport so much. There's teams that I hate, though. Now that's where it comes in. There's teams that I can't stand that I want to see lose. But
like the Jets,
like a lot. No, not a big fan of the Patriots, and I got a good story why. Boston fans covered the very first Super Bowl that Brady won. 10 minutes after the game's over, instead of them in euphoria that you just won a championship, 10 minutes after game, the Boston fans are outside chanting, "Yankees suck." And I'm like, you can't enjoy the fact your football team just won. After that, I was done with Boston.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's tough because you have some diehard, again, sorry, Mike, but you have some diehard Boston fans, and there's a few on this page and a few good friends of mine that just cannot accept the fact that other teams exist. Mm-hmm. And it's sad. And I'm the same way. I am not a Jets fan at all, but I don't sit there and trash the Jets. I'm not a Yankees fan.
But you do trash the Yankees.
Okay, I guess I'm kind of going nowhere with that one right there because I really
because you've been losing all these years.
I trash the Yankees. I hate
23 years.
I cannot stand it.
No World Series. You just hater. You're a hater.
I know.
And I love it.
And
Bring it on.
I'm actually kind of friends with a couple Yankees players from my days in South
Florida. Bring on the hate, baby.
So, but I get it. But Bob, I think you had the best answer. It's the love of the sport. We're all here because not only do we love the Lightning and the Bucks and the Dolphins and the Islanders and the Avalanche, but we love the sport. We love to see hockey being played. We love to see the violent ballet that takes place on the ice, the athleticism of these guys, and just how intense it gets. It's just fun to watch, no matter who's playing sometimes.
Now, guys, I hate to bring this up. We've been talking about positive stuff, but unfortunately today the NHL decided that they were going to I guess they got a lot of pressure after yesterday, after baseball and basketball decided that they were going to get behind this movement of Hockey Diversity Alliance. What are your opinions about this? And there's no holds barred, because I know this man here has been chewing at the back. He wants to just go off, so I'm going to let him. So say what you got to say. I always do.
I'll actually kind of start on this, and I'm not going to get too deep into this because I really thought about it before the game. Now, Bob knows and Joe knows, but I'm a retired law enforcement officer. I spent 30 years in the job. I never shot anyone. The majority, all but a couple of my friends, have never shot anyone. We served the public. We did our jobs. And when things went bad against law enforcement officers, which they are especially now, we didn't stop responding to calls. We didn't stop doing our jobs. We got out there 24/7 and did what we were supposed to do. I'm not going to trash basketball like I'd like to, but think of it this way. And they're saying that they feel disrespected and they feel that they're not being heard. Well, first of all, we're paying these guys millions of dollars a year to do a job. And they're saying, well, you can't treat us like entertainers. Well, guys, if you're out there and you're playing basketball and you've got teams rooting for you, you've got people rooting for these teams, that is important in our society. We are a society that likes to rally around different things like sports teams. It's a creative outlet that takes us away from doing things like rioting and causing destruction and having non-positive issues, because we have a creative outlet. You take that outlet away, problems start to exist. There's a picture in the Tampa Bay Times today, and it was such a moving picture because it is a young black man taking the ball rack back off the court because they didn't play. Now, the players' egos, or whatever, for whatever reason they decided not to play, they don't understand the ramifications on everybody else. Just like when there's a strike, just like when there's a lockout, So many different people are affected. Disney security officers aren't working. Coaches aren't working. People that are cleaning the stadiums aren't working. You're hurting so many people for a idea. I don't blame them for wanting to get their voices out. And I do not go against hockey diversity. I think it's fantastic. I think it's true. If you're a good player, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, Hispanic, Chinese, whatever you are. If you're a good player, good enough to play in the NHL, you should be given the number one shot to play in the NHL. But I don't think that it needs to take away from all the ancillary people that are just doing their jobs and trying to get paid. We're already hurting because of Corona. We've already lost so many people within the NHL, NFL, MLB, NBA because of this virus, and they can't work because the stadiums are not open and not allowing fans to participate. Why are we further hurting the people that we're trying to entertain and support? That's my 2 cents, and I'm going to turn my mic off.
Holy cow. I'm surprised he was so calm. You're usually like, you're not a pit bull like me, but usually you're like...
I'm very passionate about this because I've put a lot of thought into it. I've put a lot of research into it.
Holy crap. I thought he was just going to go off tonight.
No, because I don't blame the players at all for the decisions they've made. Yes, they're passionate decisions. Yes, I don't agree with their decisions. But my problem is, who are they hurting in the interest of trying to promote an idea? And that's my concern. Mike, it's up to you. What do you got? Mike looks bored.
I am never bored. I can make that claim right now. Speaking as a teenager, it is I've gone through a lot of growing over the past couple of years mentally, and my thought processes on a lot of things have changed. And for this, I can only come up with one thing that I don't want to be misconstrued. But if a couple of games get canceled, I look at it like a weather delay. And I listen to the messages that are being spread by these players. And there have been teams that have, not only said things, but done things as well. I think of the Rays and the fact that they are pledging over $100,000 per month to causes that support this sort of stuff. So I want to be able to divulge as much, or I guess take in as much information as possible before I really make a decision. Because, again, the world is changing. I'm still growing up. And I don't have an opinion, I think, that would be construed as like firm set. So I'm not trying to take the coward's way out, but I feel like there's still a lot to learn, and I haven't learned a lot of it.
And Mike, I got to totally agree with you on that. I am 53 years old, and God, you're what, 106 or something like that? And we still
don't be full of envy looking like this.
We still have a lot to learn. Every day. And it's not because we need to learn it. It's because things around us change, and we have to understand the needs and wants of societies as a whole. The problem that we're seeing is that we're going about it just in a weird way, and it's almost like we're hurting the ones we love. And by the way, guys, it is 7:59. We're going to go over tonight because this is such a fantastic show. Guys, we are so glad that all three of you are joined us tonight. This is a fantastic show. If we have to go 4 hours, we don't care. Well, okay, I care because I got to work. I got things to do.
What are you talking about? You're retired.
You got to work. One of us got to work.
I got to work. I work for Clorox.
Hey, this
you guys need wipes?
This face don't look pretty because I don't get enough sleep. I get my beauty sleep.
Oh, good Lord.
Sorry. So yeah, Mike, I got to agree with you. Yeah, thanks, Bob. I heard that. I got to agree with you. It's a changing and a dynamic world, and for somebody who's older, who's seen a lot of this, and who's, I don't want to say I've worked the front lines of this and know what is going on in the heads of some of these people that are concerned. because I don't. But when you have a sports star or an athlete or a actor who makes a snap decision without a factual basis, including our politicians.
Oh God, don't get me started on that.
I know. It makes it difficult to back a team that is making a decision based upon a non-factual issue. It's almost like, does the mob rule now? Who's in charge? Is it the people that have built this country and are elected to run this country? Or is it the mob because they have violence? But, Jake, what do you think?
This is a very tough situation. And looking at it from an NHL perspective, I think, they're basically in a lose-lose situation here, because if you don't play games, then one side's angry at you for not playing. And then if you play games, the other side is angry at you. So, it's a terrible situation. I wish we didn't have to talk about things like this, but unfortunately we do. It's tough. It really, really is. I think the hockey guy, I don't know if you guys ever watched him on YouTube, but I love him. I think he's a really great YouTuber. I think he put it best. He said, listen, these people, when it comes to this situation, are pretty set in stone in the way they're thinking. So in NHL, not playing games isn't going to, no one's going to sit there and go, oh, well, since the NHL is not playing, I'm going to change my side here. It's a tough situation. It's something nobody really likes to talk about. It's, I think it's lose-lose basically, but I just hope that we can get past it. We can move on. We get back to playing sports, because I think sports, as much as a big platform that they are for people to speak out, they're also a huge unifier, which is really important to a lot of people. Sports are a huge, escape from reality. You look at times like 9/11, for example. Sports came back a little sooner than most people thought because people needed and wanted sports. So I think opinion changes depending on who you ask, but it's a tough lose-lose situation for the NHL.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's not only tough for the NHL, but I think it's a lose-lose for everyone involved, because a lot of your, and I'm not going to generalize, but a lot of your special interest groups that are making big points these days look toward the NBA for guidance. Don't know why, but they do. And those guys, I guess, were forced into it. Darn, Jake, you made me think a little bit here. They've kind of forced them into a situation where they're looking for answers. They're looking for them to do something, and they've already said, if you don't speak up, then you're against us, which is ludicrous. But unfortunately, that's the thought process here, and it is a lose-lose situation, like you said. If they play or they don't, half the people are going to be mad, the other half are going to be happy. So, yeah, we're all kind of toast here, not only in sports, but in life in general right now.
I saw a lot of posts today after, I posted that about the cancellation for the 2 games. And there are a lot of people just so upset and so livid. And I'm going to give up my season tickets. Oh, I'm going to stop watching hockey. I'm going to ban it. I don't want nothing to do with it anymore. Come on, give me a break. You're going to watch your teams. Yep. You're going to be a Bolts fan no matter what. You love the team. You're going to follow the team. You're going to, be a real fan. And, us, we researched the teams, put a lot of hours and efforts into the production of the shows and everything. Lots of hours.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, literally, just the last 4 years, taking care of this show. I'm always bringing in like Bible all the time of stuff. And, there's never enough that you can cover, because there's always stuff that we can go on for hours talking about.
True. So, Bob, what's your NFL take on this?
See, I've spent years and years in locker rooms, 20 years experience being around pro sports, between NFL, MMA, stuff like that. Back in the day, athletes were told basically their opinion didn't matter. So that turns out people wrong. These guys are quite intelligent, and players all go to college. Whether they study or not, that's a different story. But they all go to college. So then, a couple years back, I think it was 5 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever, Colin Kaepernick decides to take a knee as a protest, and gets trashed for it. Not to get political, but the president bashed him. A lot of people bashed him. Whatever. Athletes then kind of got resilient and said, hey, we have opinions. people are trying to silence our opinions, so that made them want to express things even more. So I think that's why you see some of the stuff you see now. After years of being discounted, where they see players in the past that they still talk to that tell them, back in the day when I was there, X and X happened, and I was told that my opinion didn't matter. So now these guys are kind of paying it forward, saying, hey, guess what? My opinion does matter. I have a platform, and I'm going to express it. And you see last night, a couple guys on the Milwaukee Bucks, there's 15 guys on the team. They voted, hey, let's not play this game. And because those 15 said, let's not play it, the 2 games afterwards got canceled. Countless baseball games, hockey games, everything else all got canceled. So guess what? They have a voice, and now they're basically told, use it. They're expected to use it. So you can't fault them.
And by the way, you mentioned Colin Kaepernick taking a knee. It was actually 4 years ago yesterday. And that's one of the reasons why they decided not to play yesterday, is because it was the 4-year anniversary of him taking the knee. Little known trivia. That's what happens when you study. Okay, we've gone over a little bit. We've talked about some really big issues. We've talked about a fantastic game all the way around. It's been great, guys. I can only thank you so much for being on the show tonight. It's been a lot of fun. I love getting other views from people. I know Joe likes it too. He just doesn't want to talk about it right now. I don't know why. Why not, Joe?
What the hell are you talking about?
I don't know. You're happy.
Of course I'm happy.
Of course you're happy.
Hey, the Bolts won, and of course, whenever the Bolts win, I sleep better at night, and I get up and I get my game notes ready for the next day. I'm like, Brian Burns and all those beat writers, Joe Smith, all those guys. They're great guys in person too. I've met them, and they study, they research, they put a lot of notes together. The game notes, they stay up for hours. Brian Burns especially.
Oh, yeah. And your guys' show, Bay Bolts, by the way, you can find them on Twitter at Bay_Bolts and Bay Bolts on YouTube. Fantastic show, great point of view. I love when we can have a bigger discussion with more people talking about how much we love the Lightning and even love NHL, Bob, and NFL and stuff. We're glad to have everybody aboard. Any final points from you guys?
I just want to say thank you to you guys for having us on the show. I really appreciate it. This has been a lot of fun. Hopefully we can do some more stuff in the future. So thank you guys for having us on.
Yeah, very much so. Mike?
Appreciate it, guys. I'm looking forward to watching the rest of the Bolts Bruins series. But again, it was great to talk about everything that's going on, especially the Lightning series. So I mean, hopefully they win in 5, but you never know.
I got them in 6, but
yeah, I'm unfortunately I'm with Joe on this one on 6, but who knows? Bob, what you got? Anything on closing?
Just happy to be able to help you guys out. Come on, move the talk forward a little bit and have a good time. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. You guys are always welcome back on anytime you want.
Love the Bay Bolts. Love those guys.
Yeah, you know where to find us. And Bay Bolts, we look forward to seeing your shows on there too. So I'm going to think about you guys, and we're going to finish up the show. Thank you so much.
Guys.
All right, thank you.
Great job, man.
Bye-bye.
Anytime you want to come on the show.
Yep. All right, guys, that is the Thunderstrikers show. Yeah, a lot of fun tonight. Look at that.
Wow.
We didn't even do much of this. Not a lot of clapping. We didn't even get to do the horn. But it was a lot of fun all the way around.
I just couldn't keep on, listening to them guys, like I do all the time. I love their show. I just love the fact that we can combine, shows and have those guys on and we all talk about everything about the Bolts and everything. Yep. It's so much fun. And like I said, you guys want to come on again ever? I mean, we'd love to have you. And my producer's gumming at the bit because he wants guests.
I love it. This new platform, guys, I'm going to give a quick shout out to StreamYard. StreamYard has been just fantastic. It's easy to use. It's a lot of fun. If you've got a podcast, you want a platform with multiple guests and all these other cool things you can do, StreamYard is the thing to use. Definitely check out StreamYard.com and see what it can do for you. Joe, you got any final thoughts? We're going to head out of here.
Wow. Well, I really don't care about the show going over because, there was a lot to talk about tonight. Plus, we had some really good guests, very entertaining, very knowledgeable guys. I'm just really, really happy that the Bolts won last night and kicked their butts. Any team from Boston, I love kicking their butts.
Exactly.
Bottom line. But
Exactly.
I will say this. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for supporting the shows. We had a really good show the other night with Byron Richards reunion with the Tampa Bay Thunderstrikers.
Yes, welcome back.
Did a good job. We got some good ratings. So I was really happy with that because, I'm a stats guy and I love to always watch the ratings and always want to, make sure that the show's really, really doing good and stuff. So again, I want to thank everybody for watching the show, supporting the show. And unfortunately, we got this mess right now, but Sunday, the Bolts will play and, we'll pick up where we left off. And that's kicking some mass holes.
Yeah, exactly.
Their nickname is Mass.
Let's
Holes.
be nice. Let's be nice.
That is being nice.
Exactly. All right, so folks, I want to again
That's
thank
really being
everybody
nice.
not only that came on the show, but thanks all for watching.
Mhm.
Remember, you can find us on Castbox under Tampa Bay Thunderstrikers, on YouTube, and now even on Twitch. Check us out on all those 3 platforms, and you can always rewind and check out Facebook anytime you'd like.
Sure.
For the Tampa Bay Thunderstrikers, I am Jeff Snyder, along here with my host, Joe D'Angelo, and we're going to say goodbye. Thank you so much. See you on Sunday.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Don't forget Sunday.
7 p.m.
7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm your host, Joe D'Angelo. Good night, everybody.
Good night, good night.